Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world tonight. I have a special guest tonight, Devera Thunderbeat, who wrote a book called Look Up My Encounters with ETs and Angels. And I'm very interested to talk to her because of a number of different things. We want to get into a lot of the things that interest me: downloads, music. Devera runs a conference in Sedona, Arizona that I want to talk about. So let's start right away, and let's start with your name. I assume this has got to do with Native, we call them Aboriginal here. Can you sort of explain your name and what your sort of background is? And I think in the book, Look Up, you actually sort of go through some of your reincarnation experiences as to who you are and who you may have been in the past.
Correct. Yeah, I had a lot of past life readings and regressions. I've been playing drums all my life. I went to Eastman School of Music, and I'm half Native American. My mother was Native American. My father was Italian. Um, but so figure that combination out.
Yeah.
Um, but I went to Eastman, and I played in rock bands for many years, 27 years in New York City. And the thing is, the Thunderbeat came to me in a past life reading. I was very powerful drummer and played it, like I said, some like hard rock bands, kind of not heavy metal, like more like Journey kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then I had a past life reading one day in California and at a psychic fair, and this lady told me my past life name was Thunderbeat, and I had rivers of tears coming down because I told her, I said, I've been playing drums all my life. And she said, well, you're carrying your medicine over. And so then I've been using that name ever since. And she said, I've had that name for 500 years. I was Shawnee, Native American, and I had the connection with the weather where I could put my hand up and rolling thunder would happen.
Wow.
So that's how I got my name. So it fit perfect for my drumming career and my style of playing and how thundery I am.
So in terms of the native connection, is there some sort of mission that runs through all these different lives as to what you're supposed to be doing?
Well, let's see. There is definitely a major connection because with the Star family, I've been in contact, or they've been in contact with me since I was 4, which is very interesting. What happened was when they first picked me up, I was playing in the driveway, and it was broad daylight, and my tricycle, and pulled me up in a cloud ship. The cloud ship was cloaked in a cloud, and I remember pulling up, and there was 3 primary colors underneath the ship. And as they were pulling me up, my mother came out trying to catch me, and they pulled her up too.
Wow.
So they've been in contact with me and her throughout our whole life. But the point is, when they put me in a silver table and they rolled me down this hallway, and there was different rooms, and each room had its different color, and they're all glowing. I don't know how they were lit up, but I didn't see any lights or anything, just glowing different colors. And then they brought me into this one room and shined golden light onto me and called me a name, and they said my name was Flying Eagle with Many Wings. And I
Wow.
said, that sounds very Native American. So I asked one of my elders of my Native American side about it, and he said, well, yeah, what do you think we get our names from? We get them from the Star family.
Wow. So
There's your
so
answer.
did you have a regression to go back to the 4-year-old session? I don't think you remembered it to start with, correct? You had a
No,
regression.
I didn't. I just remembered coming back from the ship and floating in midair in slow motion, landing or coming towards the driveway and thinking, oh, I'm going to hurt myself because I'm going to land on my head. And I said, I need to land on my hands. And as soon as I said that, I was flipped around really fast and landed on my hands. And my cat was there and jumped about 10 feet in the air because I must have came out of nowhere.
Wow.
And I was wondering about that all my life, what that was. And my mother comes running out of the house going, Where have you been? I've been looking all over for you. I've been looking 2 hours. I was ready to call the police. I couldn't find you. And I said, I don't know. I've been playing right here in the driveway, Mom. And so then when I had the regressions to find out what that missing time was with Dolores Cannon,
Oh,
she
yes, right.
was,
Yeah.
yeah, she's the one. She was, when she was talking about her, one of her Beyond Abduction lectures, I said, oh, that's the lady I need a regression with. She would totally understand because I totally feel it's ET contact, and it was. And she brought me through the whole thing. We actually went through 3 different missing time episodes that I've had during my life and answered so many of my questions and put the pieces of the puzzles together of this connection with the ETs. And they all were benevolent, beautiful, loving ETs. So
Well, who do you know who you're dealing with, or like, can you describe to people what your interpretation is? There one star family, or is it all connected, or are they the same thing, or different group?
um, they said that it was Syrian from Sirius. They
Okay.
actually, in 2013, they actually brought me on the ship and brought me to the planet
Oh,
Sirius,
wow.
Sirius A. That's in my
Okay.
book. Talks much detail about it, but we went actually. Sirius A is the sun, and they live inside the sun. And you
Okay.
wouldn't believe it. You'd think you'd burn up,
Yeah.
but they have a shift of frequency
Okay.
dimension that you're not physical anymore. So you're totally aware of everything. You can see everything physically, or it looks physical. And they brought me into a different ship. Actually, it's a long story, but they brought me through a portal, and then they changed over to another ship. And there was the triangle being was standing there before we went into the sun, just like Corey Good was talking about. The triangle-headed being looked exactly like that, but this one was purple, and it was a little shorter. They're only about 5 feet, and he was floating and bouncing around me. And I asked, "What is he doing? What are they doing?" And they said they're looking for immoral implants because they're not allowed inside the planet.
Wow. What are
So
those?
there's
Can you describe
so
that?
the
What is
in
that?
the implants could be from government vaccinations that we have here on planet Earth.
Wow.
Yes, uh, they implant you. There's negative implants that happen. So they make
Government
sure that
or ETs?
government.
Okay.
A lot of
Yeah.
but it could be other ETs. I don't know, but I know it's that they definitely said government. Um, and they said, yeah, you can get them through vaccinations,
Okay.
the implants, and so so they checked for implants before I went inside the sun, and they opened up a doorway. It was an actual doorway inside the sun where we went in, and then I saw all these beings, and they were all pink beings. They look like the grays, but they were pink.
Okay.
Um, there were no grays inside the ship, no grays anywhere that I saw at Sirius, but I saw different kinds of beings. Bird beings, yes, bird being. I met, his name was Salu. He had white feathers for hair. I actually have pictures of them in my book. Um, and if you get the ebook, it's in color, which is great. And I met some praying mantis, and they're
Wow.
very intelligent and very gentle. The ones I met were doctors. They
Yeah.
were actually doctors, and they're highly intelligent and very, very gentle beings. And I met the golden beings. I've met many different kinds of beings, and they all were uh, very intelligent and very benevolent.
One of the questions I've always had is, you don't really find any experiencers who've had just one encounter with one being. They're all having these multiple beings, one being, and then this being, and then that being. Have you, based on your experience, come to any idea why there are so many beings that experiencers experience? Are they working together, or why would you and other people see so many different types of beings?
Well, it's funny. A lot of people ask, "Well, what kind of beings are there on Sirius?" And I said, "Well, there's many different kinds of beings, just like we have different species
Right.
on the planet Earth.
Yeah.
So uh, there's many kinds of species, and they have um, They work together. Yes, they absolutely work together. They've all have their part, I guess, in different roles.
And you mentioned another word that interests me. You keep bringing up things that is going to make this interview kind of a longer, but you mentioned portal. I'm very interested in portals. What's your interpretation of, how would you describe a portal, and how did this portal experience with you happen? Is that how they move from place to place?
Yes, going from Earth to Sirius is pretty far, but through this portal, it seemed like it seemed like only 5 minutes, but I think it was longer, and it was kind of twisty. It's kind of like you can see them on. I actually have some on my videos that I do, my music videos. I have the portal. I have a song called "Into the Portal," and I show portals from my experiences, and uh, they're they're just, yes, definitely shortcuts. That's what I call them.
Okay. Have you had any other experiences like on the ground where you see them and stuff? Because there seems to be different types of portals. There's the ones that they move through, but then there's these other ones that some experiencers will describe beings coming out of and stuff like that.
I haven't experienced that. I've experienced vortexes here in Sedona. I live in Sedona, Arizona,
Okay, explain what
and
that
they're
is. Because
a
you're in a
vort.
famous place there, Sedona. So explain what these vortex. I've heard about them in Sedona.
Yeah, they're energy that they're definitely swirly, and they kind of move around. They don't stay in one spot. And there's inner portals, or they're like portals. The vortexes are like portals. They're total energy, and you can feel them swirling. When you step into a spot, you can feel them either pulling you down, which is, they call them a female portal that goes into the earth, or you can feel like they're pulling you up. Um, and there's been stories I hear that people have actually disappeared and come back, but I have never had that experience. And I don't remember anybody. Oh, wait a minute. Now that I think about it, I have seen something come out of a portal. It looked like Bigfoot here in Sedona. Oh my, that was a while back. Now
Wow.
that I remember, it was a um, but it was like a triangle, and a light was in it. And I looked at this light. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. I walked outside my backyard. I saw this light and this triangle on the ground, and I'm
Okay.
like, "What is that?" And then all of a sudden, I saw this Bigfoot set, animal come out of it, and he was doing something with the earth, and then he, poof, disappeared.
Wow.
It was only like less than a minute, and I went, "Wait, did I just like dream that or what?"
Yeah. Interesting. So your experiences started at 4, and how does it go? I mean, did you have the hybrid thing going on? Did you have messages? I guess we'll get into the download thing, but can you go through the number of times you've sort of been taken and what these were intended to do these various times?
Um, I still have missing time that I need to check out, finding out what's going on. Um, but they were different every time. There was another couple of other groups that I worked with, or that contacted me. The Andromedans. I'm just finding that out, and they just wanted to make sure I was okay, because they knew that They said I was a light worker, and they wanted to make sure that I was okay. Um,
Okay,
and
so what
it
is a light
seems,
worker? Can you describe that?
yeah, a light worker is just bringing the frequencies of light, which actually works with sound, colors, light, and sound, to raise the vibration of the planet out of out of darkness.
Okay.
Because we are actually in a darkness area. You know,
I would agree. I would agree.
so it helps raise the frequency, and that's I do that a lot with my music, um, activational music.
Okay.
I have a lot of different CDs out. So, but it was interesting because they told me that um, the military knows who I am, and
Okay.
I said, really? How do they know? So they said that they've been following me around and making sure they're finding out what I know, and what's going on. They want to know what's going on too.
Okay. But you've never had a MILAB experience or anything like that where people describe the government actually grabbing you and
Not that I remember. No, no, no.
interesting. So you have like how often would you be taken like say through your life? Is this a yearly experience or when they need to direct you in a direction?
I think it's more like when they need to direct me. It's not every year, no. It's kind of spontaneous to me. Um, it happened like nothing happened for like 10 years, and then all of a sudden, a lot of contact happened for 3 or 4 years in a row, and then nothing. So it kind of works like that, on and off. And I think it's probably maybe because they're traveling back and forth, only coming for a short period of time.
Yeah.
That's what I'm figuring.
And you mentioned we did at the beginning. We talked about the beings. You hear the stories about the evil aliens, and we have to shoot them down and all this kind of nonsense. You mentioned your experience is not that kind of experience. That they're benevolent. That they basically are, here to help us. Is that what your impression is?
Absolutely. Yeah, they're here to guide us and not, they know about the free will zone, they call it, which is a karmic thing. So they can't really come in and really help us, but they can, what they do is download information. And what they have done, uh, they, the Syrians have actually told me that they make sure that we don't blow up our planet.
There you go.
And they've been working on that for a long time. So that's actually, they said that it was them and other groups that make sure that we don't use, they don't like the nuclear weapons that we have, or even any kind of nuclear energy. They said that we have it configured totally wrong, totally backwards.
Wow.
And they said that, so they're making sure, because that would affect all the other planets. That would affect the solar system, galaxy, and even universe, because it's like a ripple effect
Yeah.
if we blew ourselves up. And they're making sure that doesn't happen. So they can come in and do that. And they come in and they actually have cleaned. They showed me a vision on the ship they said, we've been cleaning up the planet of your pollution. And if we didn't do that, your planet would look like this. And they showed me on the screen, they showed me a black piece of charcoal.
Wow.
Yeah. They said that they've been cleaning up the planet and the water. Otherwise, we'd be a dead planet, they said.
Wow. So you have seen the screen. Is that what the people refer to as the screen, where they show you the environmental devastation or the nuclear devastation and stuff?
Yes. Yeah. They have showed me the screen. Yeah. And they showed me actually bringing in, they work with color, light, and sound. And they're actually bringing in colors to raise the frequency and it cleans up the planet too of the pollution. That's what they said. And if you see, like we're having orbs or like things around the sun right now, the circles around the sun, they kind of make it look like an eye with rainbows. That's them actually cleaning up the planet. That's a good thing. It's not a negative thing.
Okay, so they've talked to you about I guess this has got to do with frequencies. Is everything frequency? Is that what they're
Yeah,
give?
frequencies, color is a frequency, and certain colors do certain kinds of, let's say, healing or cleaning, raising the frequency. Like they work. Actually, it's almost the same knowledge as of like the chakras. Um, for instance, the green they said is healing, and it brings in the higher vibration of love. And
Okay.
that's green. Green is actually love. But red is fire and passion. We kind of got it backwards on the planet
Wow.
for red hearts, But
Yeah. Yeah.
and they bring in the golden light, which is a higher frequency also, and where the rainbow colors are covering all the areas. That's what they're bringing in now, the rainbow light, um, of all the knowledges, they call it.
Your first ship you saw had three different colors. Like, did that have something to do with it? Was that a message, or has that got something to do with how the ship operates?
I think that's what, because they used the colors. There were three primary colors. That's what was interesting: yellow, blue, and red. So, and you can use all those, just those three colors and make different colors, like you can make your purple, you can make your green for those three different colors. But I remember that it looked like the Simon Says, that's what it looked like, the Simon Says game. I don't know if you remember that game, but it reminded me of that game with that, the ship looked like.
Wow. And your mother was involved. What does your mother think about all this? Have you shared this over the years with her and
Oh
talked?
yeah, she was afraid. She was totally in fear. I was never in fear. Um, she was just scared. She would call me up. She goes, they're here. They're here. And I said, yeah, I know they are, Mom. And they'd come into her house, and that's pretty much all she would usually say, because we didn't live together, but she lived close. So they would come, and I get missing time again, and but a lot of that missing time is not just because they're wiping out my memory. They said that they told me they bring me into a higher dimensional uh, uh, area. Well, they don't say dimensions, but higher frequency, and and when we bring you back down to the third dimension, you don't remember. It's just like when we're born, we don't
Okay.
remember where we came from, our past lives. It's the same exact thing. It's not like they're wiping out our memory at all. They said it's just that they bring us up so high into a higher dimension. At least the ones I work with. I don't know about the other ones that are some
Yeah.
people. They might wipe their memory out because they're afraid or in fear, and they're just trying to help. Really, most of them are very positive, and you know, I I've even met reptilians that were positive. They had golden light around them, and they're just like the ETs are like people. There's good ones and bad ones, and but the ones I've been blessed with to see has been very positive. I actually have a presentation that I do at the conference that shows the beings of the reptilians with the golden light around them, and they don't have very much emotions, like people say. They don't have emotions, and they talk about emotions. They say emotions causes problems.
True. That's true. It's almost like they're very right-brained, where emotion, anger, fear. If you watch the lecture by Jill Bolte Taylor, she was a neuroanatomist at Harvard who had the left brain hemorrhage, and her left brain shut down. And she said clearly, for 6 weeks there was no fear, and there was no anger, and she was in the other side of the brain. So that's musicians are very much like that, very right-brained, and
Yeah.
but when you get into the left brain, you get into the fear, the ego, all that kind of stuff. So that may be what it
Right.
is, where they appear to me to be very sort of right-brained, and maybe that's why they're interested in musicians. So let's go to that. And your musical. Do you think they had something to do with you being into music, or helped you with music, or do you think music has something to do with their mission? Is that part of what this is all about?
Well, they've definitely downloaded me. I call it downloading knowledge, and it's kind of like we're teamwork. Um, um, wow,
What do
I've
you mean
written
by
so
knowledge? Are you
many
talking lyrics, or are you talking?
actual sound healing.
So you
Sound
do
healing.
healing.
Yeah, I do working with sound healing. Like I have a chakra CD out, which is number one chakra CD in the country. I'm worked with Hemi Sync for many years, over a decade, being the number one Hemi Sync artist.
Wow.
For over 7 years. And so I work with sound for activation and healing, which means I'm actually activating your senses, making you more aware. It expands your awareness. Clarity brings in, um, or actually releases stress, fear, and like all those things you said. So I have like an Ascension CD, and I'm going to say they come in and they tell me, okay, it's time for the Ascension CD. It's a timing thing for the planet. And I said, okay, I know exactly what to do. So I know I've been working with sound now for over 25 years. So it's a long time of how it works, how it really heals and activates your whole body, mind, and soul, actually. And I have a lot of I have to look and see how many CDs I have. I forget
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I have a 12 DNA activation CD, an Ascension CD, a Chakra CD, and then I have music. I travel around the world and go to sacred sites, and I, let's say, the Mayan lands, and I come home and I write a Mayan CD, and it's total activational. I have the response I get from that are from people. They tell me, oh, as soon as I hear that, I go into this. I start getting past life visions. I'm like, really interesting. And like Egypt, I go to Egypt and I come back and I write a CD, and I just I get downloaded the ancient music. So that's what I do, and I write, and I'd always put the activational tones in there. You'd have to experience it and hear it. You know, you could actually listen to it for free on Thunderbeat.bandcamp, for free there, and get the experience. You know.
Interesting, because I'm actually writing a book on what I call contact modalities. So I'll have to maybe add something into my book about your work, because I do the hemi-sync, I do music, and these ways that people are able to sort of transcend the ego mind. And once you can get out of that, almost like getting out of the left brain, you get into the field. So did they actually give you the music, or how do you go about, say, a song in terms of say you come back from the Mayan trip? So what's your process? Is it like a thing where you sit there and wait for inspiration and it comes to you? Is that how it works?
Every CD is different. For instance, the Mayan, I kept just hearing etherically the ancient music. So I came home and I started writing it. It was very tribal and drumming. So I'm a drummer, and I know how to compose music. So, and I have a recording studio. So that helps a lot.
Oh, fun.
Um, and then, interesting enough, when I got home the second time from Egypt, I wrote an Egyptian CD, called Egyptian Sun, and I didn't hear any downloads or melodies, and I said, "Oh, I want the ancient Egyptian melodies." So I actually put a prayer out there, and I asked the sun god Ra for help to give me some ancient Egyptian melodies. And I actually asked him for 3 days. And on the fourth day, he'd wake me up at 1 o'clock in the morning for 7 days with an ancient Egyptian melody line for each day. And that's how I wrote that CD.
Wow, that's the kind of stuff I love. So have you had
Yeah.
other situations where you wake up, or like, the story of Paul McCartney, where yesterday wakes up in the middle of the night and the song yesterday is in his head? Or have you had a lot
Yeah.
of these experiences where I guess you'd call it insight, inspiration? Can you give me a couple of stories about musical inspirations where something comes to you, or and usually it's your best stuff that comes to you in those weird sort of ways?
It comes always differently. But yeah, the yeah, I'll hear music in my head a lot. Actually, almost sometimes I'll have two or three songs going on. You know, some I've never heard before, and some I've heard. And when a person hears a song that they've heard and they could only remember, let's say, one line of that song, that's a message for you, by the way.
Oh, is that right?
That is,
Okay, interesting.
yeah, that's a message, and you can only I know that song, but I can't remember the rest of the lyrics, and you only hear that one part repeating over and over again. That is your message for you. Comes into music and comes through music. It's very interesting that way. But I have a Cosmic Dream CD that it's a very, very spacey. I wanted to write it one day. I just sat down. I said I wanted to write this CD, Cosmic Dream, and it just flowed out of me. And as soon as I finished it, it was got to be careful with that one, because you definitely don't drive with that one, because you definitely leave your body, or you will miss your exit.
Wow.
But I kind of channeled in, yeah, I kind of channeled in music from different star systems. And I remember when I finished it, I was all by myself in my recording studio, and I announced it out loud. I said, "I'm done. I'm finished with the CD." And I heard all these people cheering. And
Wow.
I'm like, "Where are they coming from?" And I'm like, "That was my star family." And they said they came in and they told me right then and there They said that that I wrote that music before I got here. So I guess I'm a musician before that. So I wrote that music before I got here, and they were cheering because they said it was six-dimensional music, and I brought it to the third dimension, and it has never been done before.
And which one is that?
That one's called Cosmic Dream.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you have about how many albums, and where do people get these albums for that they can?
They can go to my website, thunderbeat.com, or they can go to thunderbeat.bandcamp, which they can download.com. Thunderbeat.bandcamp.com. They can you can hear them for free. But the Cosmic Dream, yeah, that's like I said, you got to be careful with that one. Don't drive with that one.
That's fascinating because I've done the book on music. I have a few music people listen to me, so I'm sure there'll be lots of people tuning into that because that's. Have you run into other musicians that have star connections or experiencers or however you want to describe it? Do you think there's a pattern there, or are you an exception?
No, there's a pattern there. There's a lot of, I've known another female here in Sedona. I actually have her in my band, actually, my concerts, doing concerts, and she does the vocals, etheric, very etheric vocals, and she says she gets them from Sirius also, and lots of music. So Sirian is definitely a musical planet. Syrian music is color, definitely focus on color, light, and sound. Very big there. I'm trying to think. I'm on the Experiencer
I
CD
was
on
just
the
going to ask, yeah,
UK.
with Joanne
Yeah.
Summers.
Yes.
Can you tell me how that happened? Did she find you and give people a little insight on what
There it
that's
is.
about?
It looks like the Beatles front cover, but we have ETs and aliens. We have, I think it was 26 experiencers that are musicians on that CD that Joanne Summers put together from the UK. She's amazing. I met her at a UFO conference, and we
Where was
just
that?
that was a UFO Congress in Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Oh, yeah, she
yeah,
was there. I remember. I was there. Yeah, she was
yeah.
there. Yeah,
I think that was
it was
can't
a few
remember the
years
year,
back.
2011 or something, or 12. Could have
Okay.
been something like that. I can't remember exactly, but it was before my ET book was out. But she was looking for people that had contact, and I talked to her and did some interviews with her, and we've been in contact ever since. And she one day just recently just came up with the idea of putting. She's actually met so many musicians that were experiencers that she said, "Oh, let's put this CD together, this music CD together, and um, with experiencers." So it's fascinating, and
Yeah.
they're all different kinds of music on there.
And
Yeah,
what song did you present there?
a song called "Galactic Voyage."
Wow,
It's off my
fascinating.
Mayan CD. It was Jose Aguirrel's favorite song. Yeah, it's off my Mayan CD, but
Wow,
it's very galactic.
yeah, that's an album people should pick up because I've interviewed Meryl Fankhauser and I know Joanne and some of the people on the CD. So she had got the same sort of idea I did. I did the book on musicians and the UFO phenomena, and she did the album. So it's something people should look into because there is, as you point out, there is actually a connection there. There's for whatever I've got my explanation. I'd like to hear maybe yours. Why do you think musicians are more inclined to be experiencers, inclined to be healers, be into crystals, be into all this kind of stuff?
Well, sound, it says in the ancient scriptures that sound created the planets and created sound created everything. That's what it says through the spoken word, through the sound. So sound is very big in the universe, I guess, and the frequencies. It's very the the frequencies. Just if you would just experience a raising your vibration and releasing all that fear and anxiety and stress that we're living constantly in, everyone will feel much better. And the sound frequency helps with that. That they live in that kind of environment. When I'm there, there is no such thing as fear. It's unheard of. It doesn't exist.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Interesting. What do you think, if you were to sort of sum up your experience with the beings, what would you think their message for the world is? Why are they here? What's this all about for people that really are sort of sitting on the sidelines watching us talk?
Well, they said that we are all one, and um,
They
kind of
actually
sounds
told
like
you that?
yeah, they actually said that we're all one, and we are. It just I feel like us, John Lennon, as in all there is love. That's what they said. That there's love, peace, harmony, um, and there's lots of laughter. Believe it or not, that just laugh all the time. It's just fun. And when I'm in there, like when I was in the planet, that they had floating colors everywhere. It would like misty colors would be floating. It's the best way I can describe it. Like everywhere, and you can walk through them, and so I don't, but there was no, they were just pure love.
Wow. That is my big